We've all been there. A big project kicks off, everyone's excited, and then it just descends into total chaos. Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on project management, the framework that literally turns that chaos into control and helps you actually deliver a win. Right? It's that feeling you're juggling a dozen people, 100 tasks, and deadlines that feel like they're shifting under your feet. That feeling of just spinning your wheels. That's what happens when a team tries to build something amazing without a blueprint. And that's exactly where it leads. What started as this brilliant idea can so quickly turn into a total nightmare. Deadlines are flying by, the budget is out the window, and your team is more burned out than they are brilliant. But you know what? It really doesn't have to be this way. To fix this mess, we have to start at square one. Before we can even think about managing something, we all need to get on the same page about what a project actually is. Okay, I want you to really lock in on two words here: temporary and unique. See, a project isn't your normal day-to-day grind. It has a very clear start and a very clear finish. And the whole point is to create something new, something that's never been done in exactly this way before. So, if that's what a project is, how in the world do we stop it from going off the rails? Well, that's where the whole discipline of project management comes into play. It's the system that brings some serious method to all that madness. I know, that sounds super formal, but just think of it like this. Project management is basically a toolbox. It's filled with all the skills and processes you need to guide that unique, temporary effort from A to Z, making sure you actually hit your goals without, running out of time or cash. So this means that every single project, I don't care if you're building a spaceship or just planning a birthday party, shares these exact same traits. It's temporary. It's one of a kind. It has to have clear goals. But, and this is a big but, it always has limits. You never have unlimited time, money, or people. And crucially, there's always some level of risk you've got to deal with. Now, this is a huge one. It's a distinction that trips up so many people. They mix up project work with their regular, everyday job responsibilities. We call that operations. Let's break down why they are totally different things. When you boil it all down, the difference is actually this simple. Projects are all about creating change. You're launching a new app, building a new website, running a new marketing campaign. Operations, on the other hand, are about keeping things stable, making sure the servers stay online, processing payroll every 2 weeks, manufacturing the same product over and over. One creates, the other sustains. Let's dive a little deeper here. Just look at the duration row. Projects are temporary, they end. Operations, they're ongoing, continuous. Now look down at objective. Projects give you something unique, while operations just keep the business running smoothly. Oh, and see that third column, program? That's a bit more advanced. It's basically when you group a bunch of related projects together to achieve some bigger strategic company goal. Knowing which of these you're actually working on is absolutely vital. Okay, so we know what a project is. We know how it's different from our normal work. So now the big question is, how do we actually manage one? What are the rules of the game? Pretty much every single successful project follows this exact life cycle. First, you initiate. That's defining the why. Then you plan out the how. Next, you execute the plan. And while all that's happening, you are constantly monitoring your progress, ready to steer the ship back on course. And finally, you have to formally close the project. It's a proven roadmap that gets you from start to finish. Now, throughout that entire journey, every project manager is in a constant juggling act with three critical forces. This is famously known as the iron triangle, or sometimes the triple constraint. These are the three pillars that really define whether a project is a success or a failure. The best way to think about this is like a three-legged stool. If a stakeholder, and that's just anyone with a vested interest in your project, comes along and wants to add a bunch of new features, well, that expands the scope. So what happens? One of the other legs, either time or cost, has to get longer to keep the whole thing from falling over. You simply can't change one without affecting the others. A great project manager is a master at navigating these trade-offs. Okay, I know this can all sound a little bit abstract, so let's make it super concrete. Here are two incredibly powerful yet surprisingly simple tools that you can start using on your projects like right now. First up is the Gantt chart. This is basically your project's entire timeline, but in a picture. It shows you every single task, how long each one should take, and, this is key, which tasks have to be finished before others can start. It's probably the easiest way to see your whole schedule at a glance and spot potential problems before they happen. And next, we have the Work Breakdown Structure, or WBS. Honestly, this might be my personal favorite for taming a complicated project. You take your big, scary, overwhelming goal, and you just break it down. And then you break it down again and again until each piece is a small, manageable task. This is the secret to making sure nothing gets forgotten. So just take a second and think about that. If your team is always missing deadlines, maybe that Gantt chart is exactly what you need. But if you're starting a project and you're not even sure what all the work is, then the WBS is absolutely where you have to begin. All right, let's pull all of this together. We've defined the key terms, we've walked through the process, and we've even looked at a couple of tools. So what are the most important things you need to remember for your very next project? First, let's talk about what not to do. These right here are the classic project killers. Jumping into the work without a real plan, not talking to your stakeholders, pretending risks don't exist, and my favorite, the infamous scope creep. That's when people keep adding just one more little thing to the project, and all those tiny, unapproved changes slowly sink the whole ship. Seriously, avoiding these is half the battle. So to make sure you stay on the path to success, just keep these core ideas in your head. Always be balancing that iron triangle of scope, time, and cost. Spend more time planning up front. I promise it'll save you a world of hurt later. Talk to your stakeholders all the time. And never forget what a project is, a temporary, unique journey to create something new. And that's our look at the fundamentals of project management. But the real magic happens when you actually apply this stuff. So think about it. What is the one thing you're going to do differently on your next project? Are you going to build a WBS? Are you going to map out your stakeholders? Turning this knowledge into action, that's how you really go from chaos to control.